Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be taking part in some F&M Historic. For you guys, it's just going to be the Historic Day, and we're going to be playing a combo list that was definitely in the light a while ago, similar to the Garuda combo list that we played before, except for this one I think is still pretty decent. It's going to be an Underworld Breach combo in Izzet colors. So this deck is built around the card Underworld Breach, which is a 2-mana enchantment, says each non-land card in your graveyard has escape, and the escape cost is equal to the card's cost plus 3 other cards from your graveyard being exiled. And then at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice Underworld Breach. So basically, you get a turn of using your graveyard to the fullest extent, and that's what we're going to be doing with this one. So Underworld Breach is going to be our way of enabling our combo, but our actual win con is going to be Thassa's Oracle. As many of you may have expected, a 2-mana 1/3 enters the battlefield. You look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. You put one of them onto the top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. However, and this is the important part, if X, your devotion, is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. So Thassa's Oracle is going to be the last card we play on Underworld Breach. So essentially, this card demands that we mill ourselves. In order to mill ourselves, we've got a couple of tools here. We've got Diligent Excavator and Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Diligent Excavator, being a 2-mana 1/3, says whenever you cast a historic spell, target player mills 2 cards. And Emery, Lurker of the Lock, 3-mana 1/2 with cost reduction based off of the amount of artifacts we control, which there's a lot. Quite a lot. Then it also enters the battlefield and mills 4 cards. So that's one way that we can go about doing that and filling up our graveyard. The idea being that we're going to play Underworld Breach. We're then going to hopefully have a Diligent Excavator or 2 in play at the time, and then we're going to start firing off all of our historic spells. Historics being legendaries or artifacts or sagas. In our case, it's just legendary creatures and artifacts. So we're going to fire these off as we exile them from our graveyard, exiling 3 cards to play them, a total of 4 cards. We're going to be triggering the Excavator, which is going to be milling 2 cards, which it fuels the price on the Underworld Breach. The most important artifact in this list is going to be Mox Amber, a 0-mana legendary artifact, and the reason why we're playing Fibblethip in our deck. 0-mana legendary artifact. It adds 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So essentially, this will produce blue mana as it enters, and we can, well, as we tap it, should I say. So we're going to be playing this, exiling some cards from our graveyard, milling with Excavator, hopefully finding another Mox Amber so that we can legend rule this Mox Amber. So that while we have a legend in play, we can essentially pay 0 to generate 1 blue mana, exile a load of cards from our graveyard, and mill over some extra ones. So we're going to be going through our deck and generating mana as we do it. That's essentially the idea behind the list. This one is a little bit more of a risky strategy than I imagine most Breach decks will end up being. Some of them also run Jace as well, 4-mana Jace, who has a mill win con in his passive. We might as well look this one up, I suppose. Wielder of Mysteries. If you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So that's one way that we can play this one instead. I'm just going to go with a Thassa's Oracle. This does increase the odds that our opponent is able to interact with us and win. So there's an increased amount of risk from something like Agonizing Remorse, taking Thassa's Oracle out of our hand. If they do that, we will actually win the game, and lose the game, sorry. And you know, we move on from there. But, you know what, I'm willing to take the risk because it comes with increased consistency. The less dead cards, and Thassa's Oracle is a dead draw for the record, the less dead cards we have, the increased consistency of our combo, and that's certainly what I'm going for here. We've got lots of card draw in form of Opt. Ether Spellbomb can also sack itself to draw a card. We can also pay blue to unsummon a creature if we really want to. Chromatic Sphere can tap for 1 to generate 1 mana, so it's mostly free, you know, card draw on that one. And then we got Mind Stone as well, which can also pay 1 to draw a card. So we basically want to be filling our graveyard, and while we're doing that, we also want to be searching for Underworld Breach as well. You got to be careful not to mill Underworld Breach before you have Underworld Breach in your hand or in play. I will do that during the gameplay today. and it's definitely a mistake what I'm doing there. So if you don't have Underworld Breach in play or in your hand, you got to be very careful with how you go about milling your graveyard. You want to be avoiding it most of all, but we can also look for it with Discovery Dispersals and Ops as well. Discovery allows us to surveil to fill our graveyard, but then also draw a card off the top. So if we find that breach, we can put it in our hand. And we can technically use Dispersal, though I imagine if you're using Dispersal, you probably might as well scoop because you're losing. And yeah, that's it. 19 lands, pretty simple mana base. Enough red in here to make sure that we can cast the Underworld Breach. Again, we can actually use Chromatic Sphere to generate red mana as well to Underworld Breach that way. But we might need the Sphere in play for 1 mana Emeries, for example. So having a nice mana base to cast it is nice anyway. So yeah, if you do enjoy the content, would help out the channel a great deal if you do hit that like button and subscribe as well for more content like this in the future. We'll be back with more jank, don't you worry, in due time. And also, a quick announcement, almost forgot. I am going to be sponsored by Wizards of the Coast for the new Early Access Streamer event. This is just to let you know that I am sponsored and I will be doing that event. I haven't really locked down the time that I will be starting on the day, so this is just kind of a quick heads up that that's going to be happening, so you can put it in your calendars if you know what date it is. I think it's the 16th. It's next Wednesday anyway. And I will be taking part in that for a jank extravaganza. If you do want to submit decks for that one, because we have some new members of the community from the CGB raid the other day, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. If you're new to the channel, essentially on every early access event that I get invited to, I do a jank extravaganza. So if you go into the description of this video, you'll see a link to the Discord. From there, you can actually submit deck lists for me to play. There's a couple of rules, but the rules are pinned in the jank extravaganza section of the Discord. But yeah, without further ado, like, subscribe, and let's get to it. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, let's have a look-see. We've got Mox Amber, Fibblethip, and Opt. We do have the Underworld Breach that we would be looking for in this situation, and we basically just need to find Diligent Excavators, and I guess Emery to a certain extent as well. But we're going to keep this one. And I think we're leading off with the turn 1 Opt here, actually. Instead of the Seam Vents, since we don't really need to do it. And Opt gets us Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Very good card for us. And even a Diligent Excavator as well. Alright, so Mountain, Excavator, Mox Amber is going to be the play here then. Oops. Mills over, fills the graveyard a little bit. And cheapens up Emery as well. Could open the Excavator up to removal, but as long as it don't get exiled, we don't particularly care, to be honest. And we got another Excavator. Alright, so we can't really do Excavator before Emery here, unfortunately. But we can do Emery to do a little bit of milling, and then we can pay for the Excavator off of the Steam Vents to make Fibblethip a little bit of a mill target. And we've got mill in the yard as well. We can do a free Tormod's Crypt, or we can ramp with Mindstone. Either one of those is fine. So we're looking for our next... Ooh, that might be a problem. Get rid of Fibblethip. We're looking for our next Mox Amber, essentially. So we take some damage here.
What a whiner.
From here, I think we're going with... It's probably got to be Mindstone, but we'll lead off with the Opt for now. Another Fibblethip I will put to the bottom. Emery plays Mindstone. Mindstone mills the Excavator. And we got our Mox. Okay. From here, I think we might be able to win. Since we can now loop our Mox Ambers. So we go Underworld Breach. Open up our graveyard. From here, Mox Amber, Legend Rules, getting rid of the lands. Milling ourselves. We want to work towards getting another excavator in play, which is definitely doable. We're going to keep this Mox Amber. Play this excavator. Getting rid of Opt, Fibblethip, Breach. And now we're milling 4 off of every Mox Amber, and it costs us 3 to actually breach, so now we're just looping. Let's get rid of Discovery, Opt, Mindstone. So we get rid of 3 for the Mox Amber, we mill 4 with the excavators, which fuels the Mox Amber loop. We keep the old one, float the mana on it. We can even play Emery here and Legend Rule, which is fine. Works out essentially the same thing, to be honest. Let's just keep going Mox Ambers, though. Discovery, Breach, 1 Emery. And we're working just to mill ourselves now at this point and get Thassa's Oracle into the graveyard to then go for the victory. Our opponent's got all of their mana down, so not too much to worry about there. The clock is our main enemy at this point. So land, land, breach. Mill, mill, mill. Another excavator speeds things up. And we got another Mox as well. Might as well get an excavator out. I think we can afford to do that. Crypt, Vents, and Crypt, I guess. Now we're milling 6 for every 4 cards we take out the yards. So we go Emery, Emery, Excavator. Mill, mill, mill. Lots and lots of spheres. Lots and lots of fuel. Alright, next one. Steam Vents, Opt, Sphere. Still got that Thassa's Oracle to dig for. Should find it eventually. There we go. I don't know if our opponent's playing us for time, but that's definitely one way they can get us if we're not careful. Fibblethip, Island, Opt. 14 cards left. Oracle is one of them. Another Fibblethip. Another Crypt. Boop. And Mox Amber again. Get rid of the Spell Bomb. And this is where, you know, can be a little bit boring, I suppose, for some. But if you're like me and you like to just combo unnecessarily, then this is definitely it. And then Thassa's Oracle to finish it off. Get rid of all this nonsense. Got 2 cards in the yard, a devotion of 6. And that's the victory. Sweet. Pretty easy to keep the loop going as well. You just got to make sure that you are milling over more than you are exiling at any given time. And once you've got that loop established, then you are essentially on an infinite loop of just replaying Mox Ambers over and over again. So, pretty solid stuff. And yeah, let's go on to the next game. Okay, we're in, and it looks like we've got an early Emery here with a little bit of self-mill. We don't have our Underworld Breach, so we're going to have to dig towards that, but we can do that with an Opt and some Chromatic Sphere sacks and things like that, so I'm going to give this one a shot. It's certainly pretty decent, though. Do we actually want to lead off with the Chromatic Sphere? It can make Emery cost 1 next turn. I guess that's okay. Yeah, we can do Chromatic Sphere. And then just pass the turn. We'll Tormod's Crypt later. Might want our opponent to do some milling of their own, maybe. Don't want to let them know that I've got a Crypt just yet, if I don't have to. Okay, so we'll go for the Crypt. Makes Emery cost 1. From there, we'll just do Emery Lurker of the Lock. And we got a Diligent Excavator in there. Let's crack Mindstone now to go for the Opt. Yeah, let's go for the Opt. And we're just digging for Mox Amber, Diligent Excavator, and Underworld Breach, in some combination anyway. Breach will likely get us everything else, but Excavator here can allow us just to mill over some stuff and grab our spell bombs and things like that to slow our opponent down if needs be. Alright, so let's go with the Excavator. Play the Tormod's Crypt. Mill ourselves. A little bit risky, of course. You don't necessarily want to be doing what I'm doing. Because you don't want to be rolling over a breach at this point. But I'm feeling pretty confident. Got plenty of opportunities to grab a second, third, and fourth copy later down the line anyway if we find like a Discovery Dispersal or more Opts as well. Alright, so they're just going to draw and pass. They might be looking for a Murderous Rider perhaps, so they can slow down my combo. Alright, from here, I think we're just going to go with probably just a Chromatic Sphere off of the Emery. Do a little bit of milling. So far, so good. Crack it for blue. Draw a card. Play potentially another Emery. I guess we could go Mind Stone, Ether Spellbomb, actually. Dang it. There's the breach. Get a little bit too frisky with my mills, I guess. Alright. That'll do, though. We do want to build up a nice graveyard for when the time comes anyway. And we hadn't even found any Mox Ambers as well, which is another reason why I kind of want to fuel up the graveyard. I'm guessing they're going to go after the Emery, because it is kind of a pretty important part early on. Late game, though, it's all about the Excavator, but we're looking just specifically for Underworld Breach. And we can cast the Excavator off the Breach, so it's not too much of a big deal there. Are they going to draw? They're going to attack me for 3. I imagine they're going for a draw here. Yep, fair enough. It's possible they've got Graveyard Hate. Would make a fair amount of sense, I would say. Okay, so from here, let's sack Spellbomb to draw a card. Get Chromatic Sphere. Go for another Chromatic Sphere. Play this one, crack it for reds. Play this sphere. Crack it for reds. There's the Thassa's Oracle that we don't really want in our hand. And, well, let's just RNG our Emery. Okay, really lucky. Still no Mox Ambers, though. That blows my mind. And now we're in kind of a weird spot. We haven't really found our combo pieces. Opponent's going to Vraska's Contempt our Emery, which is fine, but not ideal. 10% odds on the Underworld Breach right now, or 11% if you want to get specific. But we got some redraws in Fibblethip. Discovery Dispersals, Opts. Lots of good draws here. Yeah, well, we found a Mox Amber, which we'll hold on to for now. Gonna crack Mind Stone to draw a card. Play Opt. Don't need another Mox Amber just yet. We'll find that while comboing off. Most likely. And we can't really open up the Thassa's Oracle to a Vraska's Contempt because it's our only win condition, so we won't be playing that. Liliana, untouched by death. Okay, properly in on the zombie tribal here. They mill, hit a zombie, which drains us for 2. Not much time left on the clock here. We've got lots and lots of good chances for draws. Just need to find them, and that is not one of them. So we just go land and pass, I think. Yeah, I mean, we can crack a Tormod's Crypt to hit Liliana's minus if it comes to it. I doubt it would.
Don't get squeamish on me.
And one zombie hits, down to 9. Not far away from death. If they had a Lord there, they would have actually won the game. So now it's this particular turn or bust, by the looks of things. And it's going to be a Diligent Excavator. And I'm pretty sure that means we are dead. Yeah, just a little bit of a whiff. I went maybe a little bit too aggressive on the mill. We got unlucky and hit one of the underworld breaches. That right there, this breach, if we'd have drawn it, would have probably won us the game looking at the cards that came before it, but yeah, wasn't meant to be this time around, so let's go to the next game. Okay, we're in, and we have a pretty nice hand, actually, so we're going to keep this one. We've got plenty of historic spells for the Diligent Excavator. We're basically just looking for an Underworld Breach at this point. Second Mox Amber is nice as well. We are just going to play down the Spell Bomb. Plan on sacking it eventually to draw cards. Another Excavator. Okay, so I don't think we're milling ourselves yet. I think we made the mistake of doing that last time, and it was a bad idea. So we're going to go with Fibblethip this time around to draw a card. Get an Opt. We'll play Mox Amber, which is online, thanks to the Fibblethip. And I think from there, I'm just going to hold up an Opt and pass the turn. Opponent's got an Omen of the Sea. Okay. Two to the top. And to Fairy's Tutelage. Oh, it's a very poor matchup for you, my friend. Very poor indeed. I mean, RNGesus can take the wheel on their front if they hit the wrong cards for us. Like, if they mill over all 4 of our Underworld Breaches, then we are definitely done for, but we've just drawn one, so that's definitely not happening, is it? Okay, so blue, play Excavator. Play Island. Now then, do we breach? If we breached, we have to sack most of this board to get the other Mox Amber in play. From there, we have to loop some Mox Ambers in order to get the Diligent Excavator out. I think it's possible. Let's give it a shot. Underworld Breach. Play Mox Amber from hand. Mill. Keep the new Mox Amber. Tap this one for blue. From there, we go for new Mox Amber. Get rid of land, opt, steam vents. Mill again. Keep the new Mox Amber. This Mox Amber makes an Excavator. And then from there, I think we are good to go. Let's get rid of absolutely anything at this point. So, mill 4. We've even got an Emery, which is kind of nice. Like Emery. Can we afford to do Emery? We definitely can. Emery will get us ahead on this one. So, Mountain, bit of opt-in. Keep the Mox Amber here. So we'll mill 4 with the Excavator and then mill 4 with the Emery, and then we've got all the cards in the world now to really see this one to victory. There we go. New Mox Amber. Fibblethip, Emery, Underworld Breach. We have every tool available to us at this point. So mill 4. Doesn't really matter what we're milling over at this point, as long as we don't exile the Thassa's Oracle, then everything's good. So Mox Amber gets rid of Crypt, land, falls. Mill 4. There it is. Alright, now we got to be a little bit more attentive with what we mill over. We're going to go with the Excavator now, just so I can speed this up. Yep, those are fine. This is an investment in our future. I'm going to play this Mox Amber, get rid of Island, Crypt, Stone. Now we mill over 6 for each 0 mana artifact we play out the yard. And it's just a matter of having 2 mana and an empty graveyard, or an empty deck, sorry. So Mox, go those ones, those ones, those ones. Mill 6. I basically got to play a tutelage and that was it. Oh god. I don't know what it is about Magic players, but it seems as though whenever I play like a cool combo, and this is a little bit of confirmation bias, by the way. Whenever I play a cool combo that does something exceptionally interesting, our opponents just scoop the first moment it starts to go off. For some reason, when it comes to degenerate combos like this one, your opponents are very interested in making you play every single piece of it out. Alright, so we don't really need to do much more than Thassa's Oracle now at this point. Unless our opponent has a Force of Negation, but I don't believe they do. Yep, those are fine. Force of Negation would kind of suck, I suppose. Thassa's Oracle resolves. Devotion is 7, deck size is 4. We win the game. Fantastic. I suppose we could have some Force of Negations in this list too. That was a little bit of an oversight. Maybe a Force of Negation or 2 against control decks might be good. I'm just not sure what you cut in this list because it's really tightly packed. There's really not much breathing room at all to make a card like that fit. But it's consideration for sure. Anyway, next game. Okay, we're in, and I think you can keep this hand. It's got the Underworld Breach with a little bit of Thoughtseize Protection, because we got the duplicate. Diligent Excavator can start the milling train a little bit with the Tormod's Crypt on turn 2, and we got decent enough mana, so we're going to give this one a shot. And yeah, lead Steam Vents tapped, and pass the turn. So, opponent is on Goblins by the looks of it, but their own homebrew, because nobody runs Tin Street Dodger in Goblins these days. So I think I'm fairly safe to just go with an Excavator here and just drop down a Tormod's Crypt for a little bit of early milling. That's all we really want to be doing at this point, is just filling that graveyard ready for an Underworld Breach. When we're feeling comfortable, when we've got our Mox Ambers and our Emerys in the yard, then we'll fire one off. We might end up having to throw one out there just to not die. We'll have to see. Okay. That's a little bit Monka-esque. Someone wants me to block. They might have a shock in hand, perhaps. Would really hate for them to have a Skewer the Critics, I guess. I don't know if that would be why they'd actually swing in with a Tin Street Dodger. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Light up the stage. Ah, they found Skewer. It's got Scampering Scorcher in here, so it looks like it's Cavalcade. Okay, Excavator hits the yard. And, well, we get to go with Ether Spellbomb. Play Emery Mill 4. Fill that yard a little bit more. And we could go with a Steam Vents untapped so that we can bounce a creature or even draw a card. I think that's fine, to be honest. Going to 16 is a little bit awkward, but it's not out of the realm of possibility of the best play we could make, to be honest. Got a 1-2 to block the 1-1, so if they went... Oh, they actually have already made the land drop, so they can't go Scampering Scorcher. That's just dead now. I'm sure they would be encouraged to destroy the Emery. But judging by their play that they made earlier, trying to dig for that Skewer the Critics, I'm not entirely sure if they have the removal. I think they were just trying to enable a bad hand off of a light up the stage. So we do have Chromatic Spheres, which are redraws. We can basically draw a card every single turn with Emery, which is nice. Well, it's got a free little bit of damage coming through now. We're not that far off, though. We are a Mox Amber away from winning this game, essentially. So they'll send in all the damage, I imagine. Wow, okay, fair enough. Only take one. I will sack the Spell Bomb to draw a card. Got another Emery, okay. And the tokens go away. I would imagine they'd want to be getting a little bit more aggressive than they are right now. So we're going to go with Emery. Grab a Chromatic Sphere. We're going to play the Mountain. Chromatic Sphere. Off of that, we've got a 1-mana Emery, which can bring in untapped. We're not going to be using the tapped Emery at this point. There's an Excavator, and that's pretty much the setup we need to win the game, minus the Mox Ambers, I suppose. So let's just tap this for blue. Didn't really get what we needed there, to be honest. So we'll just pass the turn. Yeah, we just need Mox Ambers. We could play the Diligent Excavator off of a Breach into a Tormod's Crypt for a little bit of mill. It's not that deep into the deck, though, to find the Mox Ambers, but there are 11% chance off of a top deck now. Opponent's just going to go with a Legion War Boss. They took a hand with no burn. That is very odd. Okay, goes to combat, makes a token. Has to attack, so we'll get a token off the board. Is what it is. Again, they should be getting more aggressive than they are. If they know what my deck does, then they know that they're dead in a turn or two. Through the power of RNGesus. Well, if you want to go after the Emery, that's fine. Yeah, Skewer the Critics. Totally fine. Okay. It could make a little bit of an awkward scenario for us, to be sure. But Diligent Excavator. Okay, so we're going to go Excavator, Breach. We've got 1 mana remaining. From there, I guess we Tormod's Crypt to keep the mana, because we want to then have Emery, who will be at 1 mana. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's Breach. Let's do this right. I don't think it's correct to use the Excavator from the graveyard just yet. So we'll go Excavator from hand. Tormod's Crypt for cheaper Emery. Get rid of the lands to start things off, and I guess 1 Fibblethip as well. Mill. Hope for Mox Amber. It's another Tormod's Crypt. Okay, so now we're going to go Emery. Get rid of Breach. Let's see. Island Sphere, I guess? There's definitely a correct exile order here, but it's not all that important. And we found the Mox. Okay, so now we go Mox Amber. Mox Amber gets rid of Island, Opt. Mill 2. Just hoping for another Mox. Now we found it. We tap this one for blue. Play this one, and we're going to basically just start filling the board with excavators to really seal the deal here. Mill 2. More Moxes. Nice. Tap this. Gonna go with an Excavator. Get rid of Sphere, Spellbomb, Sphere. Now it really doesn't matter too much what we exile, as long as it's not Thassa's Oracle. Mox Amber's now milling 4 and exiling 3. We got kind of close to getting in an awkward spot as far as our deck size is concerned. But this Emery and these mill 4s going to give us a lot of breathing room. So keep you, float you. I actually think we go other Emery. Just mills a little bit deeper and makes it a little bit easier to figure out what our mills are going to be. So we'll have just so many cards to choose from. That won't matter. Okay, Emery comes down. Doesn't matter which one we go with. We get a mill 4 trigger as well. There's Thassa's Oracle. We've got a deck size of 13, so it's just a case now of Mox Amber into Mox Amber with those. I do occasionally look at Fibblethip and think Thassa's Oracle, so if I do hesitate slightly when I select one, that is pretty much why. I do not want to be exiling my Thassa's Oracle. That would be GG for our opponent. Alright, so we go land, Fibblethip. That's 2 mana from the Moxes, a mill 4. I think we're just about there, if not already. Got the mana for it, and it's a 5. Yeah, so it would be exact, but just to be on the safe side. Another one. Just one more on the safe side. Just in case I'm an absolute moron and I haven't done the proper math. There we go. Confirmed. 1 card left. Thassa's Oracle. Higher Devotion on its own. Doesn't matter what we discard here. Comes down. Devotion of 5. Deck size of 1. We look at it. It's an island. It's fantastic. It's glorious. And our opponent can't handle the wonderful art on that island. And they scoop it up. Nice. Okay, we're in, and we've got virtually all the tools required to win the game in our hand already. We're just lacking an Underworld Breach, so I'm going to be digging for that using the Chromatic Sphere and hopefully not milling it over with the Excavator and the Emery. I think we've learnt our lesson from the last time. Okay, so that's a Steam Vents tapped. I don't think we need to even consider playing that untapped anytime soon, so since we got the double mountains here, we'll just not take the damage and wait until we've got nothing better to do than to play the Steam Vents. Because right now we could actually... could get the Emery down. My concern is at the moment that we don't have Underworld Breach. We've been a little bit hasty on that in the past, so let's just not be hasty on that. Let's just play our Aether Spellbomb, play our Mountain, pass the turn, just keep drawing until we find it, rather than milling it over. Mind Stone. And we'll sack the Spellbomb, draw cards. Don't know what our opponent's playing, but it's probably quite spicy. And this is one of those situations, I think. Let's just do Steam Vents, Excavator, hope for no exile base removal. Let's just get it out there. Guess we could do a little bit of random milling. Why the hell not? I wouldn't hit Breach, would I? There's another Mox Amber, so we've got the combo as soon as we find the Underworld Breach. Yeah, let's just get the Crypt out. Scare our opponent with a little bit of Graveyard Hate. Another Excavator. Yeah, just a Breach, and we are going to win the moment we draw it. So Emery's going to come down. He's going to do a little bit of milling. We're going to hope that he doesn't hit Breach, and then Emery's just going to start tapping to get back our Spell Bombs and our Spheres. Our opponent, oh god, outside the game for a Mastermind's acquisition. Looks like it's chromatic black then. And they could grab something pretty mean here that would actually end the game. It's not often you go up against a matchup that has a sideboard in best of one. But today is that day. It appears. Alright, I'm going to go with Emery. Mill. Okay, so far so good. Emery. So far so good. Use the Mox Amber for the Chromatic Sphere. I feel it's on top. I feel it must be on top. I'm going to mill them. Gonna crack it for blue. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. It's an Underworld Breach. Oh, I knew it was there. I could sense it. I could smell it. Alright, so now we go Mox Amber. Unbelievable RNGesus luck. It doesn't happen very often. If we'd have milled ourselves, we would have lost right then and there. Our opponent, no black mana. Means no removal. Double Mox for us. Means all the mana. We can play the Diligent Excavator. And from here, we are mostly in the clear, if not completely. We haven't lost from this position before. And our opponent is aware of what we're doing and scoops it up. Good lord. We would have probably lost to whatever they grabbed with that Mastermind's acquisition there. If we had targeted ourselves with the mill. I guess it just goes to show, if you're digging for breach, there's no reason to mill yourself if your graveyard's well established, and ours certainly was. It was reasonably well established, I would say, anyway. As long as you've got, like, a way of self-milling with an excavator and you've got, like, 2 or 3 escapes worth of cards in there, then you should be good to go. RNGesus can take the wheel a little bit there, and you can be fairly happy that's going to be the case. Yeah, it looks like we took out, like, Chromatic Black here. Pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with this deck as well. I'm sure there's a fair few matchups that can slaughter this list. A bad Thoughtseize deck, for example, could definitely do us in. This deck, actually, that we were up against was primed to kill us, because it would have had sideboard tech that most likely killed our graveyards. I bet they just wish they had Tormod's Crypt or Grafdigger's Cage at that point. I actually don't know what they'd have gone with. Maybe Leyline of the Void was their choice, since it's in black. I'm really not sure, to be honest, what they picked there, but a Cage or Tormod's Crypt would have definitely been sufficient off the Mind Stones. And I guess we're maybe a little bit lucky that Mastermind's acquisition tapped all their black. If it's Chromatic Black, then they might have gone for Chromatic Lantern. Or even a Rest in Peace, knowing that they could Lantern the turn after into a Rest in Peace. That would have certainly done it as well, but it didn't. We managed to get there. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, really appreciate it if you help out the channel a great deal by hitting that like button and subscribing, leaving a comment down below letting me know what you think of the list today. And other than that though, hope you have a great night, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.